PFF just got through ranking, and I don't know, you don't really need PFF. And again, we were having a nice debate yesterday, and then we had a Hall of Fame voter on, Jason Cole, and I asked the question, if you had to pick between Terry McLaurin and you had to pick between Devontae Smith, who's the better player? And I think anybody outside of Philly would tell you it's McLaurin because he's the number one guy, and he plays against the number one corners. Remember, he's the Z. He's the second best player at the wide receiver position. He doesn't take on the top flight corners, and they don't flip receivers. McLaurin takes on the best DBs, and that's why PFF ranked him 10th too. And again, this guy had Sam Howell throwing him the ball. Sam fucking Howell. Who's that? Like Thurston Howell III, the guy in Gilligan's Island. Right? I mean, come on now, man. All right, Jesus. Hey, listen, I'm not going to argue with Philly fan. There's just no way. Dude, if you signed a trash pail and you brought him in, that's the best cornerback I've ever seen. Wait a minute. This guy, Adoree Jackson, just got whacked in New York. This guy's going to compete. He's an all-pro. They took a shit. Now, then again, not that they're smart in New York. Okay? All right. With all that being said, so I get this. I can't wait to ask Farzy this. So I got a battle royale set up. And let's bring Marc Farzetta up here. And Farzy, you ready for this one?
It better be another Thurston Howell III reference.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sure like 4 people know who the hell that is that I just referenced.
Anyway, yeah.
Right? Okay. So I have this battle royale with these 2 streamer guys, one from Dallas and the Philly 500, and I have him on. These guys just are great. They bring great numbers, what have you.
Okay.
So somebody said, why don't you get Angelo and Howard Eskin on and have those 2 guys go back and forth? And I went like, okay, so we're setting up something and we're going to get a day. Now, me being the professional antagonizer that I am and like fire can starter, which I'm known for actually, I'm going to be the moderator in the middle of this. 3 paisans. How many words will be said? Will anybody get a word in? Otherwise, here, we're going to try to do this shit next week.
Yeah.
How do you think that goes? Because one guy can't stand Andy Reid. The other guy loves Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
One guy can't stand one thing about the coach, Nick Sirianni. The other guy absolutely loves Nick Sirianni. You being around both men, how do you think that goes?
I think it's going to go just about as well as the 20 years they worked morning and afternoon at WIP.
Off the rails.
It'll be anytime they've shared a studio or a show, it tends to go, off the rails would be a good way to look at it. I'm a little confused by you. The third paisan. You said that there's 3 paisans. Did Eskin tell you he was a paisan? Because that's a bold-faced lie.
No, that's right. He's not a paisan. That's right. That'd be a phony misrepresentation by me. Well, how about this? Well, then again, I made Sammy Sosa a paisan once, so I can make Howard Eskin a paisan. I mean, if you had a vowel in your name, Moses Malone, in my opinion, is a paisan. He had an E.
Yeah, Malone. Yeah, Malone. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
Moses
of course.
Malone. He did say something interesting this week.
Old Tootie Malone.
Howard Eskin.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, Howard did say something interesting. I pressed him on. He said he found out exactly what the salary was for Nick. He said it's 15 over 3 per year. What do you make of that?
I would say that's more about right. I mean, his original report was nicely over 10 million. So I was like, I remember when we talked about this before, I was like, is that 12 million? Is that 13? Because if he's getting less than Ben Johnson in Chicago, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about a Super Bowl winning coach, a 2-time NFC champion. 15 million is about right. I thought he'd get a little bit more than that, but then when you factor in paying a guy like Jeff Stoutland coordinator money to be a position coach, and he's worth every penny, and paying a guy like Vic Fangio, who brings his resume to Philadelphia. The coaching money, I'm sure, gets spread out a little bit, so I wouldn't be shocked if Nick – plus, he also doesn't – I mean, this isn't a knock. This is just an acknowledgement of responsibilities. He's not the guy calling the plays. He's not the guy running the offense. That's going to be his offensive coordinator for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, I would think $15 million is just about right.
Don't you think that Howie Roseman and what you just said, because you're dead on, Howie Roseman and Vic and Jeff Stoutland hurt his earning potential? Look, I'm not going to sit here and take a crap on 15 annually.
Yeah, right.
Okay, not to make him the highest paid coach because of what he's done over the last 5 years. Don't you think, because at the end of the day, doesn't Jeffrey Lurie have to go like this? Oh, wait a minute here. The guy who's really pulling all the strings here and doing everything and is really the orchestra of this guy, and he's the band leader, is Howie Roseman here. Howie's the guy. He puts the roster together. They help in finding the right assistant coaches for Nick, and they put that together. And then when you find Vic and you find Jeff Stoutland, I don't know. I mean, don't you think that he looks at it and goes, he's a top 5 guy, but he's not the top guy?
Yeah. I think they look at it as, and this includes Nick, this includes Sirianni, he looks at it as he realizes he's part of a very big, well-working, well-greased wheel. And he's not going to do anything to provide a bump in the road to throw that off its axis. So to me, I think that's smart of Nick Sirianni, realizing that he needs to live by his own quote of he can't be great without the greatness of others.
That's right.
Throw that back at him. And I think the organization realizes that as well. And I don't want to be in a situation like we've talked about Jalen Hurts before. And people hold it against him, the fact that he's in a stacked offense. I don't ever want to know what it's like when it's just got to be Jalen Hurts. I don't want to know that. I don't ever want to know what it's got to be like when it's just Nick Sirianni and there's no decent defensive coordinator. There's no good offensive coordinator. I don't want to know when it's both sides of the ball and it's all going to hell. I don't want to know that. I want to know that he's always going to be surrounded by talent. And if him not making as much as Andy Reid, let's say at $20 million, or him not making as much as Sean Payton, 17, 18 million, if that's what it's going to take, then that's what it's going to take. So I'm fine. I think they are handling everything with the Nick Sirianni contract well, other than, letting it leak out there a little bit earlier as to what exactly he'd be making on a per year basis.
You think they're going to release the numbers on Howie Roseman, or do you think that we'll find that out sometime during the middle of the season?
I've never known I don't think I've ever known what Howie's made. I tried looking at all the GMs and I can't find it. It's a lot tougher.
They don't really release that, the NFL.
Yeah, I put it like this. When the Sirianni contract extension came out, well, actually before that, when Jeffrey Lurie was addressing everyone at the owners' meetings in Florida, I think they were in Florida, but not the one where they decided to tush push before that, whatever. He was asked about Howie Roseman's contract.
West Palm.
Florida. It was West. Thank you. He was asked about Howie Roseman's contract. And the answer was along the lines of A, I'm going to tell you. And B, I'd ever think about moving on from Howie again. I'd ever think about doing it. 3 Super Bowl rosters since he's retaken over the personnel, 2 Super Bowl championships. I don't think he's going to be sending Howie Roseman anywhere. And I think Howie also realizes the incredible pull that he has here with the blessing of Jeffrey Lurie at the extent that he has it. So I don't think we're ever going to find that number out, but I think Howie Roseman is very well taken care of when it comes to this organization.
I had Jason Cole on with me yesterday, a Hall of Fame voter, and I'm going to ask you this question here. How do you think a guy, and again, you're so great to talk to because you were in the middle of all this. You've seen so many different quarterbacks and so many different teams with the Eagles. Do you believe in this era here, McNabb would have won a Super Bowl with the talent that he has on this field, like that Jalen has? And let me ask you vice versa. You think Jalen would have won that Super Bowl in 2004 if he was the quarterback? That was a very limited team now, T.O. was on that team, okay? And you had Westbrook in the backfield, one of my favorite football players, not just Eagle guys. Guy can catch the ball, run the ball. I mean, Marc, you could go down the line. He was one of the greatest playmakers the team has ever had. What do you think? Do you think if McNabb were on this team, he'd have won the Super Bowl between
No,
22 and 24? No, why?
no. And the reason look, if we're gonna play Madden, yes, absolutely. He's gonna win. But the mental aspect of the game and the approach was not there for Donovan McNabb. And those tough conversations that had to be had between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, they would not happen with Donovan McNabb because nobody was outshining Donovan McNabb.
Great take.
And talk look, I have all the respect in the world for Donovan, and I will absolutely talk about the beginning of his career, how me and everyone else in Philadelphia were just banging the drum for number one wide receiver. Get this guy some targets. Forget about Pinkston and Thrash, and get this guy somebody that can really help him, And it didn't happen. And then finally he got T.O., and it was great. And then Donovan didn't like the T.O., and that T.O. was the great hero, and T.O. came back from the broken leg to be the best player on the football field in the Super Bowl. But everyone, I think, that watched every snap of Donovan McNabb and really lived his career here in Philadelphia, he was never the guy that you felt hated losing as much as he loved winning. Like we want you to love winning, but you better hate losing more than you love winning. And that was never a thing with Donovan. It was always a thing where he had an ego. He tried to act like he didn't. I think talent-wise, absolutely. I think about surrounding him with this kind of talent. But then I also think, could he have had those tough moments? Could he have had those tough conversations? If you got to a Super Bowl again with him, and it's not like they weren't close. They were close many times, and many times he did not perform well. So it's weird. I look at Donovan. I look back on Donovan's career, and I think if you would have put Jalen Hurts back in that time, I still think he would have been a successful quarterback because I just don't think anything phases him. And I think he's always ready to learn. He's always ready to take that next step. He's willing to do what it takes to win. I don't ever doubt that with Jalen Hurts, but I doubted that with Donovan McNabb. And the fallout from the T.O. situation, I know, impacted my opinion of him greatly. And I know it also impacted a lot of people's opinion of him as far as his dedication to winning and the ability to have a selfless attitude about it.
This is a great conversation. So you think Donovan, tell me if I'm wrong here, you think Donovan would have treated AJ with his stuff on the sidelines and his dust-ups the same way he treated T.O., whereas Hurts would have handled Terrell Owens better in 2004, and he would have handled him more professionally than what McNabb, and there lies the difference in the two players, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll put it to you like this. With T.O., it was multiple quarterbacks that he had issues with. I mean, I'll never forget the Tony Romo, Jason Witten conspiracy of they're planning plays without me. Oh no, like, dude, come on. Like, how paranoid can we be here? Okay. So T.O. had missed it with a couple different quarterbacks. Obviously him and Jeff Garcia towards the end didn't really get along there in San Francisco. But when it comes to the moments you have as teammates, I mean, you played the game. You know, it's not all puppy dogs and ice cream, man. You know, it's not all rainbows here. You know, you have those tough conversations. I believe Jalen would have been more adaptive to it, and Donovan, as we know, did not handle it the best way. I don't think Jalen, and I go to this a lot during the season. I don't think Donovan would have just said, "Oh, Saquon Barkley's this great, just give him the ball." No, I think Donovan would have tried to insert himself in it a little bit and almost got in the way of what was making it so successful. I don't think Donovan would have been able to do that with Saquon. He was able to do it barely with T.O., but Donovan made it through the playoffs without him, made it to the Super Bowl, won the NFC Championship for the first time without him. But I don't think he would be able to step aside and let the greatness of Saquon Barkley happen. Because even if T.O.'s catching passes, that still makes Donovan look good because he's throwing the passes. It doesn't make Jalen Hurts look as good to hand Saquon the ball as many times as he did. So as far as T.O. goes and brush up with quarterbacks, it failed with many other quarterbacks, not just Donovan. So I can't fully put all of it on Donovan. But I do know that you would have gotten at least one more year out of T.O. here in Philly if the roles were reversed and Jalen Hurts was playing in 04-05.
We are brothers from another mother, brother. And I'm going to tell you why here. I'm going to make a comment here on Hurts, and you tell me if this fits the bill. When I look at Jalen Hurts, look, again, He's not Burrow. He's not Allen. He's not any of these. But then again, when I look at Tom Brady, he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Lamar Jackson. Those guys are the most gifted athletes I've ever seen play the quarterback position. But here's where he's maybe the best in the league right now. He's a great student of the game because of what you just said. He's also one of the hardest workers. And more importantly, he's one of the best teammates. What quarterback fit those dynamics? Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the greatest teammate outside of that lunatic Antonio Brown talking crap on him. Nobody else ever. Brady went out of his way. Brady was the best student of the game. Brady had to throw for 154 yards in a game. He didn't care, Mark. He would go, or if he had to throw for 500. You said something that's the most important thing. By the way, I think Jalen Hurts is intelligence. I think he's smarter than Lamar Jackson. I think he's smarter than Josh Allen because what you just said. Wait a minute here, man. So they're going to take the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands or Josh Allen's hands, and I got to be cool with that? Nowhere in the NFL, with the egos today and the salaries that you're making, are you going to go, hey, I'm okay with him having the spotlight. McNabb took a crap and took a shit on Deshaun Jackson because why? Remember, he made the Pro Bowl team at 2 different positions when he made it as a special teams guy and he made it as a wide receiver. He was asked a question at the Pro Bowl about that. And he goes, wow, that's a little overrated. That's your teammate. You're supposed to be backing him and congratulating him. Instead, it was like a competition. Dude, I don't think there's anybody in the league you could have walked into a room after a bye week and said, hey, you know what? We want you to throw the ball less.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think that's the intangible right there that separates him? Why that guy's winning is because he knows what winning looks like. Whereas some other quarterbacks just don't know. Like, I don't think Lamar knows what winning looks like. And I'm more talking about the postseason. Lamar's a better player. Yeah, but not when it counts.
What
separates him?
Absolutely. I was having a conversation with somebody out of market recently, a friend of mine, and they're like, oh, here goes, I forget what I forget the term they used for Jalen Hurts, but it was something along the lines of high school guidance counselor motivational poster. Like that was some kind of reference. Like, and I'm like, hey, look, I get that. I understand how from afar you're like, oh, rolling your eyes at quotes you're reading from Jalen Hurts, but the guy lives it. Like that is him. Like I know it might sound corny. It might sound like it's something off a motivational poster, but he really like if you roll your eyes at keep the main thing, then you're rolling your eyes at literally the thing that we ask every athlete to do, which is keep it all about the game. Keep it all about not just the game, but all about winning the game. Nothing else matters. You win, you're going to feel pretty good. Even if it's a bad win where you just eke it out at the end and you're lucky you won, it's still a win. But that's where he starts talking about the standard, where another cliche comes in there. We didn't play to our standard. That's fine. If you really believe it, then it's not cliche. It's not coach speak. It's not player speak. It's how you live. It's your habits. And that's how he plays the game. That's how he goes about his business. I mean, this is the thing I also responded to it with. I said, this is a guy that won the Super Bowl MVP. And then whatever it was, 48 hours later, he's at his locker at the NovaCare complex. And he's talking about how other quarterbacks are already weeks into their offseason regimen. He's behind and he's got to catch up to it now. He literally talked about the Super Bowl like it was an inconvenience to his training regimen.
And he's like, behind.
I'm behind now. I was winning that Super Bowl. Now that took up all that time. And now I got to catch up to everybody. It was like, and here's the thing. I never get the sense that it's a used car salesman. I never get that sense at all. This is literally he's a very genuine dude. And even in my biggest fandom, because I was still in high school when Donovan was breaking into the league, even in my biggest fandom, there was always something about him that I went, there's just something off about this guy. And after the Super Bowl, after they lost,
he wasn't genuine.
I feel like this guy's trying to sell me something. With Jalen Hurts, I just feel like this is what the guy really is.
Yeah, when I think of Donovan McNabb, I think of phony-ass LeBron. I mean, it's like when I see Steph Curry, I believe Steph Curry. Steph Curry, to me, Like when he hands a kid his shoes or whatever, he's talking to somebody, and he goes over, he just looks genuine when he's talking to his teammates. When LeBron does everything, I felt the same thing about McNabb. It just looked scripted that he had to force himself. Like, I don't think he really accepted being a leader very well. Whereas I think now Jalen's embracing it more.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the talk 2 off seasons ago was whether or not he was going to be more of a vocal leader. Actually, no, it was last off season. Yeah, it was before their Super Bowl year. Is he going to be enough of a vocal leader? Is he going to step up in that regard? Because you can't just be a lead by example guy. I remember the story. Quez Watkins was going to be, I think, elevated to the number 2 wide receiver. And Jalen Hurts sent him a text message like, hey, be ready, something like that. And I just remember thinking, like, I understand, the generation where texting is everything. DMs are everything. It's not necessarily one-on-one conversations. But when you're going to be around the guy anyway, like, you throw an arm around that guy, you'd be like, hey, look, this is the opportunity right here. We all got to take advantage of our opportunities. Not like just a text message like, hey, be ready. So that was kind of, I thought was curious. I was curious about that with Jalen Hurts. And then you see all the behind-the-scenes video that, by the way, we're going to see even more of with Hard Knocks and all that. But you see even more of the behind-the-scenes stuff this year of him being vocal, him being more of that vocal leader. Because I don't think there's any better way for him to lead by example than the way he leads by example. But when players actually hear it and not just see it, I think that drives the point home even further.
Couple last ones here for you, Farzy. What do you make of this? 2,127. That number, 2,127. You know what that is? That's the amount of carries that Saquon Barkley has had from Penn State, to his career and to his career in the NFL. 340 last year, and in the last 2 years, he's touching 600 carries. In your opinion, are you going to use the same recipe to make the same sauce and the same nice Italian meatballs? Are you going to go and make the great pasta fazool? Are you going to make the same thing that your grandma from way back in the old country? Or are you going to add a little bit of Farzy sauce? Are you going to try to screw that whole thing up? And when you put the sauce and the meatballs on the table, you go like this. Hey, did a Frenchman make this? I mean, are you gonna stick with the formula, or are you gonna add a little Farzy sauce?
The French meatball sounds like it's just lathered in butter. That's just terrible. No thanks, man.
Hey, you know what I use the French meatball for? Throwing them at somebody.
Batting practice?
Yeah.
No. So my biggest request from Kevin Patullo, like, we asked, what's Kevin Patullo going to do? If he's calling plays, what are you going to do? Well, it turns out that Nick Sirianni still had his hands in play calling a little bit. It turns out that Jalen Hurts had his hands in checking at the line of scrimmage, which, by the way, going back to the Donovan conversation, is something Donovan was never even allowed to do. So that's just one more thing. To go to the numbers with Saquon Barkley, in all of last year, including the postseason, 482 touches, Sills, last year. Wow. 482 touches in all of last year. I don't give a damn if they're like Derrick Henry runs or not, where he's getting hit every 2 seconds. I don't care. Or he's just running out of bounds. That's a heavy workload. Okay. So my request for Kevin Patullo and this new Patullo fingerprinted offense is, hey, I don't need Jalen Hurts to lead the league in passing. I stopped caring about passing yards when I was 13. Like, it just doesn't matter. It often just means you're behind. So I just want to see a middle of the road. We've talked about it. Fewest pass attempts in all the NFL. Bottom 3, I think it was, for the Eagles.
30.
Give me middle of the road. That's all I want. Give me a middle of the road in terms of usage, in terms of how much you depend on them. Be hopefully as efficient as you were last year, because Jalen Hurts was still tied his career high in passer rating, completion, set a personal best for completion percentage, yards per attempt. Like, the efficiency was great. A.J. Brown was still, I know he was at least top 10 in yards per reception, maybe even top 6 in yards per reception. Yeah, give me that efficiency, but let's lean on that passing game a little bit. And I think the number one person for that, other than Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo, is going to be Dallas Goedert. I would love to see Dallas Goedert become, I'll use the term, bell cow tight end.
Okay.
And stay healthy. That's going to be the number one thing. Stay healthy, but feed him the football. And guess what? He's going to want that ball, because if he has a phenomenal year and a huge if he stays healthy, you're talking about a guy that could win some more playoff games, potentially even win another Super Bowl, and then hit the free agency market. And imagine the bag of money, forget the bag, the Brinks truck that would back up to him.
Buffalo would be interested in somebody like him. How about this one? Why not the heir apparent to Travis Kelce for a couple of years? When Kelce calls it a career, he goes and plays with Mahomes. Yeah. And now you're talking about a higher volume of passes, because Andy used tight ends when he was in Philly. And obviously that's the main focal point of his attack that he has in Kansas City, is through that tight end position up the seam. So to me, I mean, Goddard, like you said, I mean, his issues, he doesn't suck. He's a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't get utilized here as much. But you're saying if you're going to improve that offense, you want to go through the middle of the field, because if you're going to have any criticism of Hurts, they don't throw across the middle of the field. Mark, they're going either Y or Z. Z's the second guy, Y's the first guy. I mean, they don't come across the middle of the field.
Yeah, the only play with consistency that's not a slant to A.J. Brown is that rub route they run with Dallas Goedert. They got, I think it was 61 yards against the Saints with it.
Yep.
They used it a number of times. And, I mean, what that does, though, is it creates a wide-open tight end. It creates a wide-open Dallas Goedert. So you're throwing across the middle, but you can throw basically clear vision, unimpeded, and it's an easy completion to make. So, yeah, let me see a little bit more of that. Now, I want to be clear here. If the Eagles are trailing in the fourth quarter, I don't want to be like, well, we still got to pass it. No, you could still use – I still believe the greatest force in the NFL is Saquon Barkley behind this Jeff Stoutland line of scrimmage, or offensive line. That's the best weapon in the NFL. I thought it was Patrick Mahomes. Well, not anymore, apparently, according to the Super Bowl. So I would love to see the Eagles have a little bit more of an emphasis. Don't become a pass-happy team. Don't be even a pass-first team. Just lean on the passing game a little bit more than he did last year in order to spell Saquon Barkley for the postseason and make sure he is as healthy and as fresh as possible. Because I don't care who you are, 482 touches is incredible.
Unreal. All right, I want to read.
Oh, by the way, one last thing. I do one thing different than my Nona when it comes to my meatballs. I don't do the parsley. I do basil. I like the basil in there more than the parsley.
And you put the egg in there too, though, right?
Oh God! Come on! What am I, a barbarian? Come on!
And no, I just making sure it's not a French meatball or a Swedish meatball here.
Oh, God forbid.
Hey, how about this? God forbid. How about this one here, Farzy? You tell me if you think that this is a fair synopsis of Jalen Hurts. This is what Pro Football Focus wrote of him. Jalen Hurts' 2024 campaign, capped by an impressive Super Bowl run, was a return to form from a turbulent 2023 season. They said that a year earlier, Hurts too often pressed in high leverage moments and struggled under pressure. And when they were talking about the roster, they said the weakness on the football team was the passing game, and it fell at the feet of Jalen Hurts because he was one of the worst passers from the pocket, ranked 27th. Is that fair to you that I make this comment to Eagle fans and they cry? You guys played B football and killed people on offense. Can you imagine if you played the way you played against Kansas City every single week? You'd be undefeated. You were undefeated after the bye. Mm-hmm. And if you got that kind of performance that you got, I'm looking at glass half full. People are going like, well, look at what they did. I mean, they didn't live up to their ability. Do you believe that offense lived up to this skill set of players? You got the two best tackle tandem in football. You got one of the top 5 guards, according to PFF, and Landon Dickerson. You got a top 10 center and Cam. You got a back that's number 1. AJ's number 1. Smitty's number 13. You got a top 5 quarterback. You really think the 30th ranked passing game is living up to the expectations? And like I said, you killed teams. Mm-hmm. There's so much more room for improvement, don't you think?
Absolutely. But one of the things I find really interesting is that I thought Jalen Hurts last year sort of cracked the code. And this is where it gets back to selflessness. He was like, okay, hold on a second. If I just don't turn the football over, even if I eat a sack, for instance, and we lose 7-8 yards, whatever, I can live to fight another down as opposed to try to be a hero, which was 2 seasons ago a big knock on Jalen Hurts. He's too much like Carson Wentz. It's too much hero ball. Dude, just take the sack or throw the football away. Well, I think Levante David kind of put it in his head after that strip sack in Tampa at the end of that game that if I'm going to be in a phone booth, I can't reel back and let it fire. I'll just take the sack or try to escape the pocket. So I think he took more sacks that he could have avoided by throwing the football away, but instead of putting the precious pigskin in peril, he decided to just eat it, unfortunately. But his philosophy was, I don't care if I get sacked. I just can't turn the football over because guess what? Even if it goes, let's say Saquon Barkley is getting you 6 yards on the first touch, and then all of a sudden you lose 6 more yards, and you're back to, 2nd and 12 on that sack. You could still get another breakout run from Saquon Barkley. You could complete a pass to Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. Next thing you know, you're at 3rd and short, and you could punch it ahead. You get push on a 4th and 1. So if I'm Jalen Hurts, I just play the safest brand of football I could play. I don't have to take that many risks. But the big question that was only answered on the biggest stage possible, which is when a defense like the Kansas City Chiefs shut down Saquon Barkley, can Jalen Hurts throw the ball? Oh, he threw it. He threw it to MVP level. He threw it with great accuracy, and he threw it absolutely the dagger to Devontae Smith down the middle of the field for that touchdown in the Super Bowl as well. So I think he answered those questions, but also last year, I think he cracked the code. Hold on. All I got to do is just not turn the football over, and we're that dominant in an offense where we can still have success without me making the big play or making the big mistake. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to that as often as possible. That is what's great about what's between the ears for Jalen Hurts.
Last question. I think, and you tell me if you disagree here, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to let Reed Blankenship play into the 2025 season, and they're not going to extend him. And they're going to extend him the same way if he comes back and plays his ass off. They're going to do exactly what they did to Zach Bond. Week or so before free agency starts, if this guy shows that, again, is that guy a $10 million a year guy? I mean, when I look at him, do I see Bates? Do I see Branch? Do I see Hamilton? Do I see that guy? Now, again, too, Mark, sometimes a guy's importance is in the building where his feet are. You know, I mean, he might not be that important in the Jets, just like Milton Williams. I think they're going to find out up there the definition of great players in Philly are versatile. You know, if they expect 11 sacks out of that guy, they're going to be very disappointed because that guy's not going to deliver that up there. So to me, is he more important in Philly? And do you see them going, okay, well, I'm going to pay $40 million, $35 million to Jalen Carter. I got to decide on what I'm going to do with an extension for Jordan Davis. Then I got to turn around. It's Nakobe. What if Nakobe comes back and plays well? Then you got an opportunity to sign Nolan Smith. Then you're going to go $10 million. You know, I know the cap is going up. Voidable years are there. But, Mark, I mean, you can't pay everybody. Is Reed Blankenship a casualty of all the money that's going to be potentially paid on that side of the ball? I mean, do you think he's a $10 million a year safety?
Look, his game-clinching ability is his greatest attribute to make sure he's in the right place at the right time to get those last-second interceptions and just talk about the term dagger, put the nail in the coffin, rather, of the opposing team with those game-sealing picks. But I don't think he's a $10 million a year guy. I think the Eagles have big plans for Drew McCuba in the future. I do think they like Sidney Brown. They don't love Sidney Brown. I don't think Sidney Brown has turned that corner as far as being able to harness that heat-seeking missile attitude that he has and the way he goes about it. But I do know they love Drew McCuba. I still think that they're going to pay maybe a 1 year, $8 million, 1 year, $7 million for a guy like Justin Simmons still to have a reunion with Vic Fangio and then let him walk after that. But I do also think that most of the money that they have, the $27 million when it comes to the cap, You mentioned it going up. Well, it's going to go up with a lot of rollover, too, to make sure that they're taking care of Jordan Davis in the event that he really does have a complete breakout season. Obviously, Jalen Carter down the line. That's where I think a lot of that money is going to go, because when we follow the Eagles, we know that they spend money in the trenches and at corner. What I'm very curious to see, they've spent money in the past at safety, but I think that money now is being allocated to Zach Bond in the linebacker spot. Well, at least as long as Vic Fangio is your defensive coordinator. So I think the shift we're going to see in the world we have to get used to now with the Eagles, where a running back's being paid and a linebacker is being paid, is a shift away from potentially paying a safety like Reed Blankenship.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned about, Cooper DeJean there at the shore over at Ocean City and down over in Wildwood. This guy's gunning shots, hanging out with strippers, and he's just, this guy here, man. This guy's he's like the new hero. I love the guy. You talk about, I'm going to start calling him Cooper Seahorn. Remember Jason Seahorn? I'm going to go Seahorn. Hey, by the way, them putting him out there at corner, do you hear what they're doing out there? Farzetta, they're talking about playing him at corner, and then first and second down, they're talking about playing him at safety. Hey, I like that idea.
So put it this way. Quenyon Mitchell played like 93, 94% of the snaps last year defensively. Cooper DeJean, 63% of the snaps he was eligible for, he played. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that jump up there a little bit. You're talking about 160 snaps base defense you really didn't see Cooper DeJean for last year. I'd like to see him out as much as possible. And here's the thing. In all sports, not just football, I like to classify who's a whatever guy. Now, what's a whatever guy? A whatever guy to me is, hey, you're going to play safety today. Okay, whatever. And then they go out there and they crush at safety. Oh, you're going to play corner today. All right, well, whatever. And they go out there and they crush at that position. Oh, you're going to be in the slot today. All right, yeah, whatever. Like guys like that are just players that look at themselves as weapons. I love those guys because, as you know, in every single sport, the more versatile you are, any walk of life, the more versatile you are, the more beneficial you are to a company or, in this case, franchise. So for me, I love that. And he absolutely, to me, seems to be the type of guy that's just like, where you need me? Okay, whatever. And then he goes out there. And as far as anything off the football field, that man's got life by the bulls right now. So by the bull. More so than a pass from Patrick Mahomes, he's got life by the bulls right now. Sir, so you live your life, young buck. You have yourself a good time.
Absolutely, man. This guy's hanging him up there with them matzo balls of his, man. I'm with you there. Hey, I'll say this to you too. No question. I'm happy for him, man, because this kid's really making an impact in Philadelphia. All right. So Farzy, are you a squid guy? I love squid.
Calamari, scungili, absolutely.
Oh God. How do you make your scungil?
Generally speaking, if it's like Christmas Eve, I'll do the grilled and I'll do it in the marinara. Like
grilled. Yeah,
I'll do it like that. I'll do very rarely will I make it fried. If I'm in a restaurant or something like that, I'll get it fried, or I'll get it, order fried calamari. And then the most special way we do it, our cousin Linda is an excellent cook. She actually got a website. If I could plug it, Chow Linda. Chow Linda. Yeah. Okay. Chow as in I think it's CIAO and then CHOW. Chow Linda. She got a great food blog. She's a great cook. She introduced me, my dad and I, to this recipe of a stuffed calamari. Before you ring it, before you cut it, you just stuff the tube with crab meat, whatever you like, and oh my God. Oh, fantastic.
I'm going to give you a recipe I want you to try one day. Get some scungil, cut them up. It's my favorite dish next to lobster.
Okay.
Cut them up very thin. Get some parsley. Okay, parsley in there. Get lemon. Have a little bit of salt. Put that in there. You get that lemon in there. Get the parsley in there. You drop the scungil in. You move them around in there. Let them sit in the refrigerator. Let them chill. My mouth is watering. I grew up on that. My grandpa was a fisherman. My pop didn't speak. Like he spoke a little English when I was younger. He spoke more as I got older. 50% of the time he spoke at that. This is all we ate. We ate scungils. We ate flounder. We had scungil. That's what I grew up on. Dude, that is the best dish people don't make it like that. And I'm promising you, you will fall in love with this.
Yeah, I'm picturing like a seafood. It's like I hate to use the Metagon term, but like seafood salad, something like that.
Yeah, it's exactly.
That.
If you want to drop some salad in there like that, some romaine lettuce in there, man, that would be good too. Or you could put it over. Dude, it is. Mike grew up on that. My grandparents gave me that. And man, I'll tell you, I'd rather eat that than lobster. I mean, and I love Maine lobster, but I'll tell you, man, I love Scoongeo. I am a massive. It's so expensive today, though, too, especially if you buy it in the can. Not that I want to get it in the can. I want to get it out of the Atlantic Fish Market where I'm from, so we're all good. I got it. Farzy, absolutely have a great weekend, my friend. Next week, the last time, it's the last dress rehearsal on June 13th, I believe, and then we got July probably 21st because they got that Thursday game. They're probably going to show up to training camp sooner. Here we are, man. Didn't this offseason go fast?
I mean, hey. When you're playing in early February and you have a parade in mid-February, that offseason can go as fast as possible. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it one bit.
Absolutely. Marc, thank you for all the time, man. I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, my friend. Take it easy.
You got it. Marc Farzetta, make sure you check him out and check his show out. He starts the broadcast each and every single day here with us here on JAKIB. Yeah, let me see here, man. I didn't give him the right one because PFF spoke a little kinder when it came to the ranking of the quarterbacks. But when it came to ranking of the rosters, not a very good endorsement on Jalen. But that's all right. Hey, he's a world champ. Oh, I forgot to ask him about Devontae. I will text him that. I forgot to ask him that. Okay. All right. Hey, my friends, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the number 1 injury law firm in all of America. I talk to John every day. He so enjoys coming on the program here. Mr. Bolin, who is our crime fighter in Philadelphia, he loves watching the show. How you doing, my friend? We appreciate you guys so much. Again, Morgan & Morgan is number 1 an injury law firm in America because they win. They go from coast to coast with thousands of attorneys making sure families get their justice and making sure that insurance companies do not take advantage of you. If you're ever injured, do me a favor. Log on to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. Guys, I need you to do this. Just log on, click it, and click again, forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529 and do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric,